This lecture has been made available to you courtesy of the American Numismatic Society.
I know several of you were already attending the previous long table with Dominique Anterion, but for those of you who were not, I will quickly introduce our speaker. So Dominique graduated from École du Louvre and École des Hautes Études en Sciences Sociales in Paris, and worked on the jetons of the French old regime. Joined the Musée de la Monnaie de Paris and has been involved with the museum since 1991. Then he has been involved with the redesign of the Musée de la Monnaie de Paris from 2012 until 2017. He became a curator in 2015 of the monetary collection, scientific and technique, of the Monnaie de Paris. Dominique as well has curated several exhibitions, notably since 1970, I think there's a typo, Dominique, in what you sent to me. Anyway, there was an exhibition on World War I, 1418, La Monnaie ou le Troisième Front, so money or the third front. Then in 2020, à Cannes, the values of exchange, and more recently, gold, silver, and bronze, an history of the Olympic medal in 2024, as Paris was hosting the Olympic Games. So without further ado, Dominique, the floor is yours for this second edition of your long table at the Monnaie de Paris. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gilles. Okay, I share my screen. Share here. Ok. Partage. Où est-ce que c'est? Ah oui, c'est là. Ok. It is good for you. Do you see my screen?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yes. Okay. Perfect. I thank the American Numismatic Society for inviting me to present my paper today. And also I want to apologize for my very bad English. And I think Jill Bonbourg, if maybe translate your question in the end of the table. I'm sick, by the way. Excuse me if I cough. Today's conference is the second in the series of three. As last time I spoke to you about the Monnaie de Paris in general, particularly on the cultural and heritage aspect. Today, I would like to speak to you more specifically about the collection of the Monnaie de Paris. It will be done in two sessions. The first today, which will be essentially devoted to the monetary part, and the other session in January, I think, which will therefore be the third of this cycle, will focus on the more artistic aspect, and in particular the part devoted to the medals. Historical collection related to money are divided into three sets in our collection. Two are located at the coin cabinet of the Monnaie de Paris, and I take to for the diaporama, PowerPoint. Alors, ça ne marche pas. Okay, you can see here the coin cabinet of the Paris Mint in Paris behind me. And these are the collection in this coin cabinet of coin from antiquity to the present day, as well as collection of paper currency in the same ledger. And the other large set is kept in the heritage reserve of Pessac, in the Pessac factory of the Paris Mint in Gironde. And here you can see an other view of the coin cabinet in Paris for the paper collection or the coin collection on the right. And you can see the main court of the Hôtel de la Monnaie by the window. And the view here is the reserve in the Pessac factory in Gironde near Bordeaux, the main plant of the Paris Mint. In this reserve, we have the tools for minting coin, the historical tools and dies for minting coin. I would first to briefly describe the collection of the coin cabinet of the Paris Mint. Then I will take the thing in details if you want. And first, the monetary collection of the Paris Mint consists of the fund of old metallic coin, collection inherited mainly from the former royal court, the royal court of Monnaie. For France, the collection starts with a fund of Gallic and Roman coin, medieval coin, which are among the most important fund, in particular due to the major enrichment made by my predecessor Jean Belaubre, who was an important medievalist. And we will note the strong point of the French royal collection, even if this collection is not as rich as that of the Captain of Medal, is nevertheless present of some strong point. And among the collection also have those relating to the 19th and 20th century, with the paradox that certain exceptional coin or essay are preserved in the collection, and that conversely, a certain current coin are not there in the collection. Finally, the 20th century, this with the contemporary part, which benefited from a legal deposit, and it's the element of the enrichment today for the Paris Mint collection. That is for the French part. Concerning the foreign coin, the funds start with the antiquity, a very weak fund with little Greek coinage and a larger but poor quality Roman coin fund. The foreign medieval fund, Italian, Portuguese, English, German, Scandinavian, are modest, but Netherlands present a certain interest. And the modern fund are much more interesting, with in particular a very important and remarkable and representative German fund. Contemporary foreign monetary funds are very unequal. Some countries are well represented, others are poorly represented or not at all. And it should be noted that the best represented countries are often linked to production which were all or part made by the Paris Mint, of course. Most of the monetary fund come from the royal court of coin, as I say. This jurisdiction of the Ancien Régime, which has collected a good number of French and foreign coins. The commission, after the revolution, the commission of coin and medals in the 19th century will continue the connection. And today, most of the acquisition are made either by the deposit of the example of coin manufactured by the Paris Mint for foreign central bank, for example, or by means of donation, or by purchases at public auction. As you probably know, in France, it is not the Monnaie De Paris that print paper money, but the Banque de France. In fact, the Monnaie de Paris collection of paper money are quite small. There are few central banknotes, French or foreign, and on the other hand, there are a few strong points, the Assignat collection of the French Revolution, and especially the collection of emergency currencies from the First World War, with very large fund of currency linked to the cities of the occupied zone, and large fund of the currency linked to the Chamber of Commerce for the unoccupied zone, and it's more surprised, a very, very large fund of German and Austrian war currencies, the famous Notgeld, a very important fund in the Paris Mint collection. And I would not be complete if I did not mention the collection of so-called traditional of paleo currency. They are mainly African currency that are the result of collections that were carried out at the time of the French colonization, of course. Now, in the detail. If you like, I propose to take up this classification again by presenting to you some of the strong points of this different section. As I told you, the antique section is poor. Among the important points, we will note for the Gallic coin as, for example, the Coriosolite coin of the Trébris treasure. Here you have an example of the coin of the Trébris treasure. It's a monetary deposit of Gallic coin discovered in the 1973 in Trébris in French Britain. 1766 silver stater dating from the 1st century BC. Part of the treasure is kept in the Museum of Rennes and Saint-Brieuc, and the rest was dispersed at the public sale in 1977 in Morlaix. It was on this occasion, during this sale, that the Paris Mint had created some of this coin. Coin of Trébris are recognizable by their small number written of each coin. This number were inscribed by Dr. Jean-Baptiste Colbert de Beaulieu and correspond to the number of the die used to strike the coin. And you can see here the last coin purchased in the collection of the Paris Mint, purchased in Monaco last year to complete this collection. And I refer you to the article by Catherine Gruel of this treasure published in 1981 in the collection Études de numismatique celtique. Another set much more important in quantity, the coin of the treasure of Les Authieux, a Roman treasure discovered in 1984 near Rouen in Normandy. A very important treasure of Roman coin of the 3rd century, a treasure contemporary with the Diocletian monetary reform, and about which Dominique Hollard wrote an important article in 1989. This treasure is partly presented in the Paris Mint Museum, and you can see a few of the showcase in the museum with a part of the Trésor des Authieux. The medieval section is, however, much more important due to the strong medievalist leaning of my predecessor, Jean Belaubre. You can see here Jean Belaubre. It must be said that in the previous Truancy Museum that he founded in 1983, the medieval section occupied a significant part of the collection, with strong development of economic aspect, but also on the relation between the central power and the feudal power in Old France. The work of Jean Belaubre carried out on the development of the Carolingian baptistery on the pennies of the Charlemagne and the question of the live fountain. My predecessor, Jean Belaubre, was led to buy a lot of coin in connection with these two themes. And in addition, the funds are supplemented by important treasure of medieval pennies. I am thinking in particular of the treasure of Beauvais, of more than 1,000 items, and I am thinking of much smaller treasure treasure. I think about the treasure of Antioch and the treasure of Montmorillon, conserved in the collection of the Paris Mint. Treasure in low silver, therefore with a high copper content, which suffered from alteration and which we have just recently have had restored. It's a very good point for this year. Later, and not no less remarkable, other important treasure, the treasure of Uzès, a treasure discovered under the entrance of a private house in this town, in Uzès, in a town of the south of the France in the Gard department. In a treasure discovered in the 1973, also hides the Trebry treasure. This treasure was acquired by the Paris Mint, and at the time, Jean Belaubre had seen a great interest because it is rare to have a treasure of Gros de Roi from this period, Gros de Roi of Charles VII and Louis XI, you can see here on the picture, and dated from 1491 to 1493. A treasure of a very, very short period, as well a gross. You can found in this treasure a gross of Genoa and some lire of Venice, most certainly a merchant cash reserve. I invite you to read the very interesting article written by Jean Belaubre in the Revue Numismatique in the volume 24, published in 1982 about this subject. This treasure of Uzès is for partly presented in the Monnaie De Paris Museum and should be the subject of a new scenography in the last year or in the year to come, I hope. It should be noted that the collection of medieval gold coin is far from complete. There is one reason for this. The levy made by the Bibliothèque Impériale, the levy made by imperial decree at the end of the 19th century by the Bibliothèque Impériale, now the National Library of France, the Bibliothèque Nationale de France, a levy made to complete the library's collection to the detriment of the collection of the Paris Mint. And this text, being a decree and therefore is legal, it cannot possible to be attacked today, this act. But it's a terrifying period for the Paris Mint, this end of the 19th century, because the levy is a very, very important event in the history of the collection. This levy was also carried out in a very significant way on a royal coin, notably from the reign of the Valois Angoulême, and about the Bourbon. As a result of these transfers of the National Library, the collection of the Paris Mint are now incomplete for the royal period, extending from the reign of Louis XII to the reign of Louis XVI. And the Valois Angoulême period is distinguished in particular by beautiful pieds-forts in gold and silver from the reign of Charles IX and Henri III to Louis XIV. And here you can see an example, yes, of the Louis XIII pieds-forts for the half franc in 1680. And you can see the very, very beautiful portrait of the French king. For the Henri IV period, we have an exceptional piece. The double écu. I have a problem. I have not my. Comment fait-on pour revenir en arrière? Sorry, but I don't have my photo of the double écu d'Henri IV. Indeed, it's a coin was struck in Compiègne in workshop that Henri III had working during his flight to Tours following the day of barricade, and that Henri IV maintained due to the inability to strike his coinage in Paris before entering the capital. As a result, this coin was declared illegal by the Court of Monnaie, and which had remained on the side of the Catholic royalist. Moreover, this circumstance not very favorable for the abundant striking of this gold coin, explained why very few double écus d'Henri IV were struck. In fact, today there are only two knows one. The story told in our museum do not currently allow this coin to be exhibited. It will be indeed be complicated to include this exceptional coin of Henri IV in a particular chapter in the narration of our museum today. We have therefore decided to deposit this coin in the brand new museum, which will open in 3 or 4 years, the future National Museum of the Great Century, namely the 17th century. More specifically, from a museum about the reign of Henri IV to the end of the reign of Louis XIV and the beginning of the Regency. Concerning this museum of the Great Century near Paris in Saint-Cloud, the Monnaie de Paris will be one of the major lenders. We will in fact deposit several coin, token, medal, and striking tool so that coinage and numismatic have their place in the museum that will tell the story of the art and society of the Great Century. And the double écu of Henri IV will thus take part in this narration. It's very important for the Paris Mint to exhibit a most collection, not in our museum, but in the other museum in France and in this future museum of the Great Century. The project is directed by Alexandre Gady, a great curator and professor about the 17th century, specialist of the reign of Louis XIV. You have seen a very famous coin, you know, very exceptional from the end of the reign of Louis XIII, the 10 Louis d'Or, the 10 Louis d'Or. We have two exemplars of this exceptional coin, the 10 Louis d'Or work of Jean Varin, the great French engraver. The study carried out a few years ago by Christian Charlet demonstrate that our coin were indeed original coin of this period. That is to say, struck in 1640 at the time of the reform of the Louis d'Or, according to the drawing of Jean Varin, a magnificent portrait of Louis XIII, a masterpiece of the collection. The coin collection is very important for us and for the spirit of the Paris Mint. But the coin collection held at the Mint are a permanent source of inspiration for our engraver. And you can see here this reinterpretation of the 10 Louis d'Or of Varin for the 2024 series entitled Gold of France is evidence of this. The collection is the source of the inspiration for the engraver of today and of the future. It's the fundamental element of the constitution of the collection, the relation between heritage and plant, between heritage and today fabrication. We are not only a museum, we are a museum and we are an enterprise. Studying the reign of Louis XIII and Louis XIV, another treasure, the treasure of Prozevey. The treasure of Prozevey, discovered in 2090 in Britain, in the wall of a manor, a treasure private property which was dispersed during an auction, and of which the Paris Mint boasts nearly 20 coins. A treasure which testify to the defiance of the old owner of this treasure towards the reform of Louis XIV, and who, it seems scrupulously, sorted the old and the new spaces, the two being represented in this treasure. The study of this treasure, made by Thibaut Cardon, is in this respect extremely variable and allow to make this treasure a real narrative support of the economic history of this period. It will soon be presented in our museum. And you can see the two boxes of this treasure, perhaps old scale box. It's a donation of the honor of the treasure. There are many missing items in the section from Louis XIII to Louis XIV for the reason I mentioned earlier, but also because of the burglary was occurred in 1984. Many royal coins have been coveted during this theft, and unfortunately, many coins have not been found. If we stay in the same period of the 16th, 17th, and 18th century, before the French Revolution, others found deserve our full intention. Notable is a very important collection of Germanic coin, and in particular, silver coin ranging from this period to the 16th to the 19th century. To discover this fund, I invite you to consult our article dedicated to the German Monetary Fund of the Paris Mint on the page Francophile of the Duchess Historisches Institute, the German Historical Institute of Paris. And you can see here the page of this site, and the image can be zoomed by clicking on them at the top right of each of them. And the article aims to bring German researchers to our fund about 1,500 items. In this page, I present this fund, metal and paper coin, in a concise manner, concluding with the search for a patron for the restoration of the 19th century silver coin. Indeed, you can see on the one example of the German coin of the collection for silver, and an other, and you can see here a gold coin for the German fund. But here you can see the alteration, the sulfuration typical of this fund. It's because this sulfuration, I'm search a pattern for the restoration of the 19th century silver coin of this collection. The sulfurization are extremely different from the alteration affecting French coin of the same period. I think it's a real interest to work about this alteration, so for in this fund in particular. I will return a little later to the German fund, in particular the collection of Notgeld, whose present may be surprising in the fund of the Paris Mint. But for the moment, I speak about the French fund, but this time to discuss the collection that is kept not in Paris, but in our reserve in the Pessac factory. Indeed, in Pessac are kept the monetary tools. Obviously, the modern and contemporary fund are much more important than the old fund, and in order to say on the period that take us from antiquity to the 18th century, we kept very few tools from this period. A rare tool die here with... Ah, allô, que se passe-t-il? Accident. Où est passé mon... Ah, sorry, PowerPoint is closed. I open again. I don't know why. Ok. Alors, je reprends. Alors, pour le coup, je ne suis pas sûr. Est-ce que je vais pouvoir le rouvrir? Alors, où est-ce qu'on est? On est ici. Alors, il faut que je le reprenne là. Sorry.
Yeah, it's good.
It's good. I don't know why. You can see here a die for Tiberius coin, but nevertheless, the fund made up of about 50 tools up to the 18th century it's a poor find because all the tools of the old regime are destroyed, are destructed by the court of the money. It's very rare to preserve this object. Remain a reference found with several tools from Charles VII to Louis XV. In particular, we have a few dies for the period of Valois-Angoulême, and you can see here a very beautiful die for Henri III, half franc, and you can see a free view of the die. To this, we have also the Arras die from the reign of Louis XIII, but it's a very small collection. For your information, all the antique coin at all the medieval French and foreign coin and all the modern French and foreign coins have been digitized, and they are available on request, some of which are already online on the opaque web of the Monnaie de Paris. And you can see here an example of the welcome page of the collection of online of the Paris Mint, and you can click on the photo and you can see, for example, here it's a page about a money changer book, and you can have information about some piece of the collection. But it's a very little part, and we don't have a monetary tool on the opaque web today. It's we hope for the future. It's a part of our work. As for the tool, the digitization campaign are underway. A campaign for the old tools that I have just mentioned from antiquity to the 18th century was carried out this year, but the photo is currently being processed. And in all cases, there are thousands of tools of coin that are photographed. And we are a very small team to carry out this work. Just for fun, I present you two tools from the 1791 competition during the revolution. On the left, the die broken by Dupré, Règne de la Loi, and the very exceptional coin from the concours of 1791 by Gâteau. It's a photo of the very recently made in Pessac. Let me stay a moment longer on the period of the old French regime, and more particularly in our reserve of Pessac. It is in Pessac that we kept another absolutely unique and incomparable fund of tools, the token die of the Ancien Régime, of the old regime. And you can see here one of the Cardex plate of the token die of the collection of the Paris Mint, which always the striking of the token of our King of France, in particular from the Renaissance until the end of the 18th century, but also we can find in this collection the token dies for the French noble, but also the token dies for the French royal institution, for the town, etc., etc. Some example here. Oh yes, it's inventory work on the reserve of Pessac. Where are my example? Yes, yeah, you can see the example for the token for the young King Louis XIV here, and the screw press of Nicolas Delaunay. You can see here preserved in the Pessac reserve of the Paris Mint. You can see the number here. I speak in few minutes about this number, but yes, here some example of this token die of Louis XIV or from the institution of the Ancien Régime français. This set of token of die and punches amount to nearly 5,000 items, and among them, of course, the two Castorland token matrices that I was given to transmit to Chester Sullivan, and I showed them to you last time. About this exceptional fund, research work is currently being carried out by our team on the subject. The research project in question is being conducted jointly by the Monnaie De Paris on the token tool fund, you can see here, and by the Bibliothèque Nationale de France on the token kept in the collection of the Cabinet des Médailles. And this work is therefore being done in cooperation between myself and Jean-Yves Keane, whom many people know. It involves cross-referencing the BNF token collection with the Paris, the Monnaie de Paris tool collection, comparing them with the manuscript from the early 19th century that list this tool and which is kept by the BNF. And you have a view of the manuscript. Sorry. Yes, it's a view of this inventaire, the description sommaire des coins de jetons existants à la Monnaie de Paris. And also, comparing these two funds and token and tool with the inventory drawn by Nicolas Delaunay, the head of the Monnaie des Médailles, therefore at the Louvre in 1696, and which is now this manuscript kept in the Archives Nationales in Paris. The research work about this subject has just started, and we hope to eventually be able to take advantage of it to do the complete digitization of the tool kept by the Monnaie de Paris, to connect them with the photos of the token kept at the National Library in France, and which have been digitized as a part of during the publication by Thierry Sarment, and to cross-reference all of this photographic and physical data with the two manuscripts that I have just mentioned, and in particular to cross-reference about the marriage of dies. I am showing you for preserve some example of this token die. in particular of the 17th century. And here you can see a part of the document of the tabular for the inventory of all this tool and the comparison with the BNF collection. To stay in our reserve in Pessac, I come to slightly more recent monetary tool. I want to talk in particular about the die to the French Revolution. I go on the good slide. Sorry. Yes. In the absence of having the complete collection of tools, at least the Monnaie de Paris has an absolutely remarkable set of this tool, which has been the subject of a complete inventory drawn up in collaboration the last year and this year with the Amis du Franc Association, with in particular the work published by Philippe Terret and Michel Taillard. Here is an example with this surprising attempt at a simultaneous strike of two 25 sol coin. It's exceptional tool conserved in our collection. Another very important set of monetary tool that covering the period of the Empire, the Restoration, and the Second Empire. And this set have also been digitized. They are in the process of being published. And again, within the framework of the partnership between the Monnaie de Paris and the Amis du Franc, still within the framework of the work carried out by Philippe Terret and this team, and I hope a lot the next publication, the last is about Louis Philippe. If we return to the collection kept in Paris, the monetary set corresponding to the period of the 19th century are unfortunately much less remarkable, as for example with Napoleon and this gold module tone and gold item. Of course, the Monnaie de Paris has a series of tests, in particular for the reign of Charles X, Louis XVIII, in particular for the 5 franc coin or for the gold coin. But these objects are not strictly speaking rarities. On the other hand, what is surprising is that a good number of common series do not appear in the collection. Here again, a good number of examples were taken by the National Library of France at the time of Napoleon III. Others were victims of the theft that I already mentioned earlier. We are now gradually trying to fill this gap, even in the objective is not to duplicate our collection, which it's a national status, with the other national collection, namely that of the Cabinet des Médailles. The Paris Mint Museum is therefore open to any donation that could fill the gap in this collection, particularly in this modern and post-modern period. The period covering the Third Republic is obviously more complete, both in terms of the collection kept in Paris, coin and assay, and in terms of the collection kept in Pessac, namely the tool. In any case, the funds have been inventoried and digitized. The photos are not yet available, but the whole coverage now allows us to get a good idea of the completeness of the fund. And concerning the Third Republic, the most important fund preserved in the Paris collection is paradoxically not the fund of metallic currency, but the fund of the paper currency. There is one reason for this: the very important collection of emergency currency. I think I'm late in my slide. Sorry. You can see here the tool for the module for Napoleon, for the visit of Napoleon in the Paris Mint, exceptional punson and essay in gold. And now my propos about the emergency currency issued during the First World War, and from which the Museum de la Monnaie was able to benefit thanks to a significant donation after the war made by the Ministry of the Armed Defense. It is thanks to the help of Axel Janiac, student in master at the École des Chartes, that the paper currency fund of the Paris Mint, and in particular from the First World War, was able to be inventoried. Thanks to this work and the result having arrived in 2017, we were able to organize the exhibition 14-18, the money of the third front. And you can see here a view of the exhibition, which marked the celebration of the centenary of the armistice of 1918 in 2018. This exhibition allowed the public to discover the important French collection, but also the important German and Austrian Notgeld collection preserved in our museum. And you can see here two plant of Notgeld of German cities. I will mention in particular the series on the right, dedicated to the anniversary of the arrival of Martin Luther at the Diet of Erfurt. Is a set of notices in a what-cut paper, of which the small envelope you can see on the left here, which had also been issued at the time to preserve the Notgeld. And this type of envelope is very, very, very rare. I would like to reassure you, but that the notices you can see are not glued on the paper, but only held together by the small strip of Japanese paper. This is a montage from the period of 1920. A major donation of emergency notice should be made within a few months, I hope, and will make the collection of Monnaie de Paris one of the most important collection of Notgeld in France, I hope. Concerning other paper currency, notably banknote, the collection of the Monnaie de Paris is quite poor. I remind you that in France, the monopoly on the minting of metallic coin is held by the Monnaie de Paris, while the monopoly on the printing of banknote is held by the Banque de France. And consequently, the legal deposit of paper notice is only done at the Banque de France, and the legal deposit of metallic coin is done at the Monnaie de Paris for our museum and at the Cabinet des Médailles of the Bibliothèque Nationale de France. We don't have a legal deposit of notice, hélas. The legal deposit procedure thus makes it possible to enrich the collection on the Monnaie de Paris each year with new examples of coin, both common coin example, with the euro, and of course, collection coin. And you can see here the ultime franc designed by Philip Stark, the last franc struck by the Paris Mint. At the same time, every 4 or 5 years, all the original coinage tools, whether punches or matrices, are deposited in the reserve of the Monnaie de Paris in Pessac. This is how, for example, we will be able to exhibit next year a part of the Georges Mathieu exposition, and you can see here the fruit of the deposit, the legal deposit of the money of Georges Mathieu. You can see the coin and the tool of the original money designed by the famous French artist in 1974. Time is too short for me to tell you about all the foreign funds kept at the museum. They are very unequal depending on the political relation that have prevailed between France and the different countries and states, as well as by the agreement of currency exchange that have been able to take place in history. So you won't be surprised if I tell you that the coin of the countries of the former French colonial empire there is a fund not totally monetary, but which revolve around the question on monetary and commercial relation that deserve to be mentioned. I'm talking about the Akan Weight fund, and you can see some Akan Weight some for the gold transaction. The Haken weighting are number 2,000 in the collection of the Paris Mint, thanks to two private collections, one of Henri Abel, former French administrator in Abidjan, and the Jean-Jacques Dumoulin collection, which was donated to the Monnaie de Paris in 2017. Yes, and it was thanks to this donation that an exhibition entitled À quand les valeurs de l'échange was organized in Paris Museum. Of course, I will address the question of the former French colonial empire. The Monnaie de Paris actually has many examples of traditional coin, glass beads, bar of sail, wall of fabric, cowries, and some very moving object. I am thinking in particular of the bottle, the little bottle of Marginalia, this small shell, which were used as a currency in Mauritania and which were given to the Monnaie de Paris by the famous French scientific Théodore Monod. It's a very important object in our collection. Still in connection with the monetary field, it should have told you about the meteorological fund, the example with the scale of the old laboratory, the scientific found. You can see a photo of the old laboratory for the Monnaie and the essay in the Paris, and the photographic fund, very important for the comprehension about the fabrication of the money that relate image by image the production of coin in our Parisian workshop before the move of Pessac. However, to finish, I prefer with you last two monetary acquisition for terminate my intervention. By purchase, the first is an essay of 6 pence in gold made by Jean-Pierre Rose, for the King of England, George III. Inside this test is part of a set of tests carried out at the Soho Mint by draws, and the mechanical engineer, originally from Neuchâtel, left for England. To work with Bolton and Watt, where we carried out this test. And in 1799, he returned to France as director of the Medal Mint. It's a very recent acquisition of the Paris Mint collection, a very important piece in the career of this engraver, who was, I remind you, the author of the Écu de Calonne, very famous coin during the reign of Louis XVI. And the second and finally coin that I wanted to show you to finish this intervention is a coin that we reserve via the official legal deposit procedure. It is this gold 1 kilogram, 5,000 euro coin of Notre Dame de Paris, which celebrates the reopening of the Paris Cathedral, opening that will take place tomorrow in front of 160 heads of state and government. A way for me to involve you in this event that all French people and American donators have been waiting for 5 years. 5 years. Thank you for the donation of the donator and the American donator. And of course, thank you for your attention.